Before we get into today's video, I do want to let you guys know that this video is for educational purposes only. Please remember to be kind to everybody everywhere in your everyday life, in your home, in the grocery store, and especially in the comment section down below. Please do not show hate to anybody, anywhere. Good morning, my lovelies, my beauties, my friends. My name is Christina and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I really hope that you will subscribe, stick around, take a chance in hearing some things that I have to say. And if you are a returning subscriber, y'all already know, y'all are my babies. So good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everybody doing today? I hope you all are having an amazing day. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. I hope you guys got to spend time with your family, got outside. It's nice and cool. We got an outside projector for our back porch. Have you guys seen them? I'll leave the one that we got linked down below. We ordered it off Amazon. I will leave down below the projector as well as the screen, the exact ones that we got, and we love it. I would recommend getting a speaker for it though, but I can do a whole review on that on my second channel if you guys want. If you guys don't know, I do have a second channel and I do have a Patreon. My Patreon is for 18 and up. And over there we have a $2 tier where all the true crime stuff that can't go on YouTube because of their terms and policies, it goes over there in the $2 tier. And then I also have a Facebook, a Snapchat, and an Instagram, and those are always linked down in the description box if you'd like to come and check me out. So anyways, I told you guys that about the screen because I was hoping that y'all had a good weekend, and I was just saying that like we have been sitting outside around the fire and watching movies outside now that it's cooling down, and it has been so nice. So yes, I have a very interesting video for y'all today. I am so intrigued by this. So over on Instagram, honey, every time I open up my DMs, I got at least 10 of these right here. Looking at this man's face right here, popping up in my screen. Y'all are sending this to me, asking me to talk about it. So I got into researching this case of this man here named Donald Studey. And when I tell y'all, it is a case to remember. Wait until y'all hear this. So Donald Studey, who died in 2013, he was 75 years old, was known in his area to be a troubled old man. Okay, there was a lot of rumors about him. Now, before I tell you about this stuff with Donald Studey, I want y'all to think, especially those of y'all that are older, that, you know, back in the day before we had like social media and phones and stuff, what did we do? We talked a lot more to like each other in person. We told spooky stories and stuff. And like there was the rumor about the van, right? The white van comes around. Man, if the man comes around in the white van, don't get in it. Remember that? Or the ice cream truck. Did any of y'all have the creepy vibes from the ice cream truck? Man, you wanted that ice cream, but that person that was selling you that ice cream made you feel like they was going to snatch you in the truck and drive off. Well, in this town of Thurman, Iowa, the rumors was going around about old Donald Studey, okay? And it was that he had bodies buried on his property somewhere or in the well. Back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever, it was very common for people that lived in remote areas to have wells, okay? And I'm not just talking about the well, a pump well. The wells were actually these round structures in the ground, and you would use a bucket to drop down into the well and pull water back up. Now, these wells go deep into the ground, and this specific well that was near the property where Donald Studey lived was 90 feet deep, okay? So you got this big well on the back of this old, like, remote property. When you got to the well in this specific spot, it was so far off the beaten path that you couldn't hear from the road. Like if I was to get out there and scream and holler, you can't hear it. I mean, it's way on back there. And the well goes down 90 feet and it was 3 feet wide. Well, the rumors in the town was that old, wild, crazy, cuckoo Donald would put bodies in the well, okay? And people always just considered him to be a little troubled or off his rocker, you know, those terms that people would spread around back then. And in this town back then, there was less than 200 people that lived around in this area. So you're talking about a small community where people ain't got nothing to do except for beers, bonfires, and to talk about you and your neighbor, but your neighbor's about, you know, 600 yards away from you type of thing. So Donald lived on his 5-acre piece of property in a trailer with his wife at the time, and he ended up having 2 different wives. Wait until I tell y'all how they lost their lives. Red flag, okay? And his 4 children. Now, Donald's family history in that area goes back more than 100 years, and he was known to have mental health issues. He was often drunk. He had violent behavior. The people in the town even knew about the time that he threatened to end his stepson, who was the son of his second of his 2 wives that lived with him over the years. There was always a lot of drama with Donald. There was even one time where he was hemmed up with the police, threatening to end it all himself. And then he turned around and shot himself in the arm. I mean, Donald was a handful. I can surely imagine that the police in that area is probably only 5 of them, okay? If there's only 200 people in that community area where he was at. I'm pretty sure the 5 police was like, Lord, let that old man Donald just stay on his little 5 acres. As long as we don't bother him, he won't bother us. That type of thing. But there was a problem. One of Donald's kids named Lucy, who couldn't keep her mouth shut. See, little Lucy, dating back 45 years from now, would go to school and tell her teachers, her counselors, her principals, her priest, multiple law enforcement officers, and anybody that would listen, that her daddy would kill people and make her and her brothers and sisters help him get rid of the bodies. Now, people would, ask her, like, what are you talking about? And she would say, but my daddy will wake me up and tell me that I have to go with him to the well. And anytime I have to go to the well, I'm scared. I know what's going to happen. I don't know if I'm going to come back. So what would happen is, she's saying her dad would wake her up or whatever, and she would have to go with her dad to help him put the bodies in the well. And he would drop a body down into that well, 90 feet down. And she says her brothers and sisters would have to put dirt over the bodies that went down in the well, and grass and leaves and all of that stuff. She said that over the years that she knows that her father put at least 50 to 70 bodies in that well. And she said that the ones that she saw were all white women, all from the ages from 20s to the 30s. All of them had like brown hair, dirty blonde, like it's a darkish. They all had more darker hair, and they were all 20 to 30, except for one was a 15-year-old runaway. She said she specifically remembered that her dad liked to or stab his victims, but his favorite thing to do would be to kick them in the head, bash them in the head and stuff like that. And she said she specifically remembered her dad saying one time that the bee deserved it. Oh, this bee deserved it. Now, she would go to school and tell her teachers, and she said that her teachers told her, honey, we don't worry about family issues. You got to worry about family issues at home. The counselors, law enforcement, nobody ever listened to her. And she told people for 45 years that this was going on, and nobody would ever listen to her. Now, Lucy is much older, and she has been actually working with the sheriff's office and the FBI. She went all the way to the FBI and has gotten them involved, and that's how we know about it in the media now. She doesn't want her name. She doesn't want fame. She's not making TikTok videos or YouTube videos, although I do wish she would, because I want to know every single detail like Lucy, girlfriend. If you feel like it, I mean, I can understand if you're not comfortable, but if you want to turn on a camera, I can assure you a lot of us is going to listen, because this is wild. Okay. She said the only thing that she wants, she said she wanted justice for her father, against her father growing up. She was terrified of him. She said every time she went down to the well, she thought she was going to go in too, because she was always telling people. They never listened to her, but she thought her dad was going to eventually throw her in the well. He never did, but she wanted him to get arrested. She said, well, now he's dead. He died in 2013, but what she wants is for them to dig up that well and get the bodies out and give the families closure and peace and give the women a proper burial. That's what she says. The well has years now been filled in. So there is no well there now. It's just dirt and trees covering where the well used to be. A lot of the sheriffs in this little town, I watched some videos, and I'm not going to show you the specific one because I don't know this person, but I get a feeling they're nervous because they've been ignoring this for years. And now the FBI and the public, like me and you, like now we're paying attention to this and they can't keep brushing it off. Lucy, by the way, she has offered to take a lie detector test. They said for years, and they have it documented in the law enforcement, like the paperwork. They don't have it documented all the way back to the 70s because back then they didn't have computers. But even just years ago, they have it documented where she went into law enforcement and told them, and they never investigated it. It's not like she just come up with this story. And she went out there with the FBI and these cadaver dogs. Now, 2 cadaver dogs went out there. 2 Australian cattle dogs, Jody and Jetty. Now, this is a big area. They said that those dogs hit, meaning they hit on the scent of human remains in 4 different areas out there. And one of those spots was exactly where the well was. And one of the dogs barked at it and the other dog sat on it. Ooh, I have chills thinking about it. And the person that was over the cadaver dogs said, "Ma'am, I'm gonna tell you something. It'd be pretty unheard of for 2 of these dogs to hit on the exact same spot and for nothing to be out there." Now, this is the issue. The law enforcement or whatever are saying, man, it's going to cost a lot of money to dig that up. We're trying to do everything else we can because, I mean, it's $300,000 to dig it. And you know what I think? I think the county should have to pay for it. If they've been ignoring this lady for all these years, sorry that it's going to cost y'all this much money now. Y'all should have investigated it back then. I have no idea why they didn't, unless people were involved in it too, unless other people were dumping bodies down there or something, because it seems pretty strange that nobody listened to her. Now, there are some funny facts about this. One of Lucy's sisters has said that she's lying. Said this never happened. It wasn't true. She wants her father's name cleared. He would never do anything like this, and that it's all made up. But again, Lucy's been telling people this for years. She's not trying to get fame, and she said that she would take a lie detector test. The sister that said it didn't happen says that one of her dad's wives had a baby and that it was stillborn, and they buried the baby out there in a shoebox, and that's what they think the dog is hitting on. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. I think that they need to find out. I can understand if they think it's not true. They're like, man, this would be a waste of money. But at the same time, I don't know. Now, they don't have any names of people they think could be down there because it is said that their dad would pick up workers, people that were hitchhiking or people that typically, especially back in the, 70s, and, a lot of people didn't report missing. They left on foot and they didn't come back. It was a different time back then. And that even still happens in this day and age. Now, hear this to make the story even stranger. Remember how I was telling you about Donald Studey's 2 wives? Allegedly, they both passed away, and one passed away from strangling herself with an electrical cord. Seems a bit odd. And then the other one passed away from shooting herself. So both of his wives took their own life. Seems a bit weird. The whole story is so bizarre and strange, and I think they should dig it up. I think they should dig it up and see if there's anything down there. Oh, and another part that I forgot to tell y'all. When they were out investigating here just recently, they were talking to neighbors and stuff, and there's somebody that owns that land now where the well used to be, and they do not want to talk to the media. I can't imagine how creeped out they are. They're like, oh my gosh, do we have 70 bodies buried on our property? Weird, uncomfortable. But there's another man that lives in that area, and he's 55 years old now, which means years and years and years ago, he was 20 years younger than Donald Studey. He said that Donald came up to him many years ago when the well was still open and said, hey, you ever seen any of those cow bones down there in the well? And the guy was like, no. And he goes, oh, okay, just making sure because, my daughter, she hallucinates and stuff, and she's always telling people I'm putting bodies down there. It's probably just cow bones. What? That is so wild, you guys. So if it's true, that's why media outlets and stuff are now saying that Donald Studey could be one of like the biggest serial killers of all time if what she's saying is true. I'm more thinking, how many more people are out there like that? There's probably so many more. We can see one incident on the news with like this couple, and there's 500 other situations like that happening at the exact same time, but just did not make it to mainstream media. You know what I mean? That's the creepy thing. I don't know. What do you guys think? Have y'all heard about this? I think they need to check it out. And I think if she offers to take a lie detector test, take it. I don't understand why she would keep going up there. Her father's been dead for almost 10 years. She said it still haunts her to this day. I don't know, you guys. That don't sound like somebody making up something to me. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section down below. Other than that, I love you guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I will see you guys on our video on Friday. Love you guys. Bye.